Hello, besties. I am here with one of my long term, super sweet, amazing friends, Danny. Say hi, Danny.
Hi, everybody.
And we are going to talk about lots of things that I'm not. I'm not a cosmetologist, I'm a licensed esthetician. So, Danny and I have known each other for like over a decade, and we're just gonna kind of chit chat and catch up. She's gonna talk about her career, talk about some of the highs and lows, and then she's gonna talk about what transitioned her out of the hair world and kind of what she's doing now. So, welcome to the back bar. I'm so
Thank you for
excited you're here.
having me. I'm so excited too. Making me feel all
I
kinds of
think
special.
Well, I think you might have to be like a regular, like once a month. I have to get you on here to like talk about some stuff.
Oh, I would
I
love
mean,
that.
if you're for it, I love having regular guests
Absolutely.
because it just makes things flow
Yeah,
easier.
I would love that.
So let's take a walk down memory lane. I was trying to pinpoint what year we met. Do you have any idea?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I feel like the farthest back I can remember is like 2010,
Yeah.
and it could have been sooner than that. I don't know. But I feel like that part in our lives was very pivotal. And like,
Yeah.
if we met sooner than that, we started hanging out more then.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think too, when I was trying to like do notes, I also think it was like around 2010 because my Nana passed away in 2013. And you had by that time already been doing my hair for a couple of years, and you started doing Serena's hair. And then I was bringing my Nana like once a month to do hair. And I know
Yeah.
that we had met like a few years before that. So it had to be like 2009, 2010 for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
And we were both dating people in the bike world, motorcycles and all that fun stuff. I had just learned how to ride. You grew up riding dirt bikes, right?
I did.
So we kind of had a fun time. We went on some like crazy races together and like went to Day in the Dirt and all that great stuff.
Uh-huh.
So at that point when we met, where were you like in your career? Like how far were you into the hair industry and being a Cosmo?
So I went to beauty school right out of high school and I graduated in '06. Um, and it took me 2 years to get my license because I had to take a leave of absence for a little while. My mom had gotten sick. And so I missed some school helping take care of her. And then when I graduated, I just dove straight in and I went straight to booth rental. I didn't do commission or anything like that. My mind frame was like, go big or go home. If I start with commission, I know myself, I'm going to get comfortable there and I'm going to be too scared to like take that leap. And
Right.
I don't want that setback. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to make it happen. And when I was in beauty school, I interned for a Paul Mitchell color specialist, blah, blah, blah. And so yeah, I pretty much just hit the ground running as soon as I graduated in '08, and I did it forever until I couldn't anymore, which we'll talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at right now. I also was like, I'm going to go big or go home. I didn't just spend all this time and all these hours and this money to learn a profession and be licensed to just go work for somebody else. I'd already been doing that all of my life, especially as like a medical assistant. I was always working for someone. And so I've also jumped straight into working a little bit from home and then a booth rental in town just for, proximity reasons or whatnot. But it's definitely got its ups and downs, I will say, as you
I think it's
know.
great though that you have dived in or dove in how you have because I think a lot of times people get intimidated when they start and they get this thought in their mind like, oh, I need to do it X amount of years before I can do this, or I gotta earn my way there. And I mean, I don't think that's the case at all. If you have a natural talent and you dive in and you love it and you're killing it, like go big or go home, go for whatever you
Right,
want because the only person who's going to stop you is yourself. So I think it's
right.
great, all the million quadrillion things you're doing right now.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. I mean, I took a lot of inspiration from people that I knew and that I had come across in the beauty industry because I've always been someone that I believed in having a hairstylist and a person that you go to. You develop that relationship. They know your hair, they know your lifestyle, that you're not going to be using that hair serum that they recommend to you, but they're going to like help you get there one day, you know. So,
Hmm.
I was just like, dang, like every time I saw you, you were always happy, you were loving life, you loved what you were doing.
Oh,
And I was like, that's something that's huge. I'm going to get there one day, eventually, when I can transition my life and get there. And so, yeah, so I just wanted to say you inspired me a lot. And especially when I saw how
oh,
you like always interacted with myself or Serena when I brought her in or my grandma, I'm like, you don't have to be in the medical field to make such a huge impact on people, but that's something we can talk about in a little bit before it makes me cry because I start remembering things.
I
But
know.
yeah, so now looking back, what were some of the high points for you in your career?
Oh man. I think one, diving into booth rental, like I said, and being successful. Like, I never had a week I couldn't pay my rent. I never was
Right,
late. Um, to me, that's like a huge thing because so many people struggle, and I think it's because we get that internal self-doubt and it blocks us. And I refuse to have that. I had to make it work, and so I did.
right.
Um, I think also the relationships I've developed over the years. I mean, I have had clients be with me since the very start, and they become like family. And to have clients who I had when they were like going out in their 20s and partying and living it
Oh,
up,
yeah,
to different heartbreaks, to getting married, to having babies, seeing them pregnant, multiple pregnancies. I mean,
right.
I think it is so cool to look back and have that journey with so many people. I'm really thankful and blessed for those moments, those people. And I know that like I help them feel good because hair is such a comfort for women, but the life lessons it taught me on along the way, and they were there for me just as much as I was there for them. It was just a really amazing gift, I think, that I could never repay. I'm very thankful for that opportunity to have those moments.
And I think that that's also why so many people like connected with you because you are just a very genuine and like charismatic person. And just from speaking, like even when you were doing my hair or like my grandma or Serena, like everybody just always felt comfortable. So I think, especially like in the beauty industry, if you're just being genuine in your interactions with your clients and the people that cross your path, you're going to naturally have them gravitating to want to come back to you, And it's like you didn't always be in the same location. You had different booths that you were renting. And I'm like, dang, where's Danny at now? Like, I know she said she was moving. So it's like we were always excited to like figure out where you were and like come see you in your new space. So I think definitely like curating your relationships with the people that like you come across every day is like a huge thing that I've kind of taken away from you and a couple other people that inspired me in my beauty journey. And
Oh,
like you said, it's
thanks.
rewarding for us performing these services and treatments for people, but also the people in our chair and our facial beds, like it's just as beneficial for them too. So thank you for
Yeah, and
being
I
an
think it's
inspo.
cool. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for allowing me. I think it's cool too that I learned over the years that at first I was always concerned about location, 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 location. And then I realized like when you develop these relationships with people, aside from doing their hair in a way they like, but you have these relationships. I mean, I have people to this day that are like, can you please just cut my hair in an alley? I will go anywhere. I don't care. Please, I'll do anything. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had one client who's awesome. She made me a whole little salon at her house and was like, please come here. I'll pay you whatever. She sent me a video. She had like a little waiting area with a couch and a
Oh,
coffee
that's so
table. She
cute.
had mirrors. She had a salon chair, a shampoo bowl, like the works. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I am so honored. Like, I can't believe people love me that much.
Right, right.
But it's really nice. And I learned that no matter where you go, if you have a good clientele and you're good to them, they're going to follow you. And I think another thing that was a high for me was like I love doing color. I think that's my favorite thing. And so formulating and the chemistry side of things, it always felt really good to have people come to me and be like, Danny, can you help me formulate this because I'm just not getting it or I don't understand or whatever. Want to be like, hey, can I pick your brain? Am I on the right track with this formula? I loved helping my coworkers and us bouncing ideas off of each other. And I don't know, just it was a fun time. I miss it.
Did you ever think about stepping into educator shoes?
Yeah, I actually had several people suggest it, offer it. Um, but once I started a family, that was something
Yeah.
I just decided not to do because of the travel. And again, my go big or go home mentality. Like, not that it's bad to just educate in our community, that would be great. But for me, I would want to keep going and going and going. So I'd want
Right.
the traveling, I'd want the shows, I'd want all of that. Like, my goal would be like, I'm going to get up there with Paul Mitchell or whoever, Guy Tang,
Right.
and be like, hey, high five, let's do this. And
Right.
having a family, that's just not as
Feasible.
manageable for me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did not go that route.
But hey, maybe in the future, you never know. It might
You
be
never
Color
know.
Academy by Danny. Like, hey, I'm just putting it in the universe, putting it in the universe.
I love it.
But so now the thing that we all don't really like to talk about, like what are some of the lows and what were the things that helped you to like get through it? Because we all have days where maybe you have three cancellations and you're trying to fill them, or when you're first starting out, you're like, oh my gosh, what the fuck am I doing? Like I overbooked myself today. I don't know how I'm going to manage this stuff. Or you mess up when you're like mixing your color or whatever. Like when you have those lows, like what helped you to kind of keep pushing forward? Obviously, being successful and having money and being able to provide for your family and future family with your career, that's like, I think pretty inherent that all of us are using that. But in the moment, what were things that like you kind of looked towards or did to help you get through like the not so glamorous parts of being in the beauty industry?
So, first of all, this isn't anything I hate talking about because I think it's kind of a blessing in disguise because you can't have growth if you don't have quote unquote failure, You're
Right.
never going to learn and expand yourself, your knowledge, your talent without learning what not to do. So I always tried to keep that in the back of my mind. It didn't mean that I didn't have bad days or moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? Um,
Right.
but I think, like you said, my biggest thing, especially when I was a single mom for a while, providing for my daughter at the time, I mean, there was no other option. I had to do it. So
Right.
I would find myself in the beginning when I was growing my business and I didn't have a huge clientele. I was like, how do I get people? Because sitting here, like twirling in the chair, waiting for someone to walk in, I can't count on that. And so I started to realize like everyone likes something for free. So at first, you may remember, I started out where if you sent me 3 haircuts, you'd get a free haircut. If you sent me 3 colors, you'd get a free color. And I just tried to work that buddy system. And I think that was really, really good for me for a while. Um, and then I also had moments like everyone has haters, which they make you stronger, get your
Right.
name out there. And I would have different things happen where people would try to slander my name, and wherever that was, I'd be like, hey, if you come in and mention the haters hair special, I'll give you 20% off. Like, I just tried to
Right.
work the best out of every situation because I refused to let the negative win and get the best of me. Like, life is too short. So I think I just always tried to look at the bigger picture. Like, God has a reason for putting me through things, and He wouldn't put me through them if He didn't know that I could succeed. So I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna make it the best. But I definitely had some really intense moments. Like when I first started doing hair, it was my first year, and every part of me when this happened wanted to just give up. I cried. I thought I sucked, and I was like, I'm never going to be good at this. I'm just going to get lawsuits. I'm never going to get clients. Oh my gosh, I was terrified. Thank God it was on my poor mom. But she's a blonde, as you know. She likes
Yeah.
that platinum blonde, and she has a
Oh yeah.
lot of hair. She's like a
Yeah. I
lioness
mean,
with her
you're
hair.
blessed with it because of her. Like,
Thank you. But man, to foil all that hair, that collects some heat in there. And she was telling me, she was like, Danny, my foils are feeling really hot. And I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's bleach. It gets a little warm sometimes. Don't worry about it. Like, I was too big for my britches at the time. I was just like, it's fine. Like, I have trained under a Paul Mitchell National Color Educator. Like, you're okay.
right.
And she was like, no, it's like really hot. And so I felt it with my gloves on, and it felt like freaking lava. And I was like, oh my gosh, we got to rinse you out right now. So we went to the shampoo bowl, and
And
girl,
you're
I
just
kid you
praying it's not
not.
just gonna melt off.
Oh my gosh, no, I opened up the foil so careful because I was terrified that if I pulled it, the hair was going to come off with it.
Right.
I opened up the foil, and I kid you not, smoke was coming out. And I was like, my mom's hair is on fire without the flame. Oh my gosh, what is happening? And I went and got the Paul Mitchell educator, and I was like, what is going on right now? And she's like, I have never seen this in my career. And I was like,
Oh my
what?
gosh.
So we had to call the chemist at Paul Mitchell to figure out what was happening. And turns out she had gone swimming in a public pool, like in her neighborhood,
Right.
that was overly chlorinated. And the chlorine mixed with the bleach created a copper compound, which can set your hair on fire without the flame in a foil.
My gosh. You'd have
So
never known. You would
I would
like
have never
how else would
known.
you have found that out?
But girl, that was like not even at year one into my
Yeah.
career. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't even do my mom's hair. Like, I was crying. I was terrified. And my poor mom, she's like, it's okay. Don't worry. It's okay. And luckily her hair didn't fall out in clumps, but it definitely got fried. And I was just like, oh, I'm never going to do this. And that was my moment where I was like, okay, nothing can be worse than this. And if this is as
Right.
bad as it gets and I can turn this around, like I can do this. I got this.
Right.
But I think that was like one of my most terrifying times. So pro tip, if you have a lot of foils like that, just clip them up off the head so the air can circulate.
Right. And also ask your clients before bleaching, maybe like, hey, it's summertime. Have you been in a pool recently? Were you in one right before you came here? Because we're really going to wash this mop of
Yeah,
yours.
absolutely. Or have them clarify before they come in. But even then, I mean, the hardest part with clients is because like when people want something, they want it now.
Oh, yeah.
So if
They're
you're
going
going
to
to
say
be like,
anything.
hey, do you have chlorine in your hair? Oh, no, girl, I'm good. Okay, why is your hair setting on fire without the flame? Like,
Right.
they're not going to tell you because they want it done now.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely something too that like I learned. And I mean, I kind of learned it in the medical field. Like people will say anything so they can get like their prescription refilled or they could be cleared to like go on a cruise or, you know, go skydiving or whatever. So I kind of am used to being able to like pull things out of people and obviously always tell them disclaimers with stuff. But some of the girls in beauty school were really struggling. They're like, oh, this person really wants a chemical peel, but like, she's not right for it. She doesn't wear SPF. I'm like, then you just tell her, like, hey, I know, like, you're my cousin. You don't wear SPF. I am not giving you a chemical peel. We could do something else, but like you said, clients will say anything because they
Yeah.
want what they want and they want it now, especially when they're already at like your salon. They're not going to take no for an answer sometimes. So,
Yeah. And I think it's really good to, and you know this, like I have never been the person who's going to tell you what you want to hear, whether it's clientele, friendship, relationship, family, whatever it is. I'm always the person who's going to tell you like it is because I do care. And so I think that's huge. Like there's a nice way of doing it, you know, but if you're going to come in and you want a certain color, like I would always warn people, I'd be like, okay, well, they'd be like, what do you think? And I'd say, do you really want my opinion? Because that's a
right,
loaded thing. Like, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. And I think that's a really great quality in our line of work, whether it be with chemicals, haircuts, brow shaping, any
oh
of it,
yeah,
because you're changing the whole look of somebody, their whole first impression that they give to the world. You're
right.
creating it, changing it, altering it. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, to definitely be transparent and like tell people what could possibly happen. Like I could get you there, but you're gonna have some hair loss and breakage, and it's not gonna be pretty. Like, or I
Or
can
you're
get
going
you
to be
there,
orange for a
and it's
little
gonna
bit.
be over a 6 week period, right? Like you got to come
Yeah.
back and see me. Yeah.
I mean, how many
So,
times did we change your bright, fun colors? And I'd be like, Heather,
oh
like,
yeah,
we can do this, but you're going to have this weird little peacock color going on for a while
oh
until we
yeah,
get there. And you're like, okay, I don't care.
exactly. Yep. Because we always did Vivids, and I always just knew that
Uh-huh.
if I just listened to you, I would get there eventually. And I mean, I'm going to be honest, even my brassiness, like my hair always lifts, you always made it a cute, like, hey, we know you're going to lift brassy, but it'll be okay because we're going to put some caramel, we're going to do some low lights, and it's going to be a good color. It's going to have dimension. It's not just going to look like you have hot roots with like a piece of orange hair attached to your face.
Yeah,
Like,
we always tried to make the transition a good one.
yeah.
Never
And I
like
feel
a
like
where's
that's
my baseball
important.
hat?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's important too when you're seeing, your cosmetologist or esthetician or whoever it is, like understanding as a client you're going to have a transitional period, and if you just listen to their at-home care stuff and you use the right products on your freshly colored and cut and processed hair or skin, the transition period will not be so bad. We promise. But you got to listen to us.
Yeah. And that's the craziest thing too. People will spend all this money to get their hair done, but then they want to cut corners with the at-home care, and then they wonder why their color is fading or their hair is breaking or feeling dry or whatever. And that's why I always try to give people like, okay, I think these are the best salons to use. Yes, they're salons, best product to use, and they're salon quality. But if you can't afford that, then I would go with this, or this. Like I always try to
Right.
give people that cheaper option because I mean, when I started doing hair, everyone was around my same age. So I know that we all are having pretty similar paychecks, and to
Right.
spend all that on your hair and then go buy the product, you're like, yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Or you were also really good too at giving like, hey, I have trial sizes or travel sizes. Like, just use this at least for the next week till you get paid, and then go buy this at Target or Ulta or whatever it was. And so, I think too, that's also something that like resonates with me. Like whenever like my mom is asking me about a moisturizer, I'm like, how much do you want to spend? Because I'll give you something you can find in Target that's equally great, but if you want something that's going to pack a little more punch, you're going to go spend 30 or $40 on, a little serum. So I think also in the beauty industry, being able to give people those multiple price points is just better. It's more responsible and it's more realistic. People, not everybody's going to want to spend $80 on one little thing when they could go get a whole line somewhere else for the same price.
Right.
So,
And if you're loving what you're doing, you don't want your clients leaving just that day looking good with your work. You want them
yeah.
to have lasting results of your work looking good. And the best way to make that happen is follow up with the good routine.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too that's also something that like just helps for marketing. Like you were saying when you were doing like the referrals, like, hey, if you refer three people, you get a free color or whatever it is. But also making sure that they're maintaining that look, because whenever somebody asks them about their skin or hair, they can be like, oh my gosh, you have to go see Heather for a facial, and Danny just did my hair. She's over on such and such. Like, send her,
She's
like,
in the back
send,
alley.
yeah, yeah. Like, let her know that I sent you and you'll be good to go or whatever it is. So I agree.
Yeah.
Making sure that, people have those lasting results not only just helps them come back as a client, but now they're a walking billboard for you to be like referring
Hmm.
you new clients.
Word of mouth is the biggest advertisement.
Yes, I agree. And so, kind of like going on, to the later part of your career, before my Nana had passed away, her and I had started this like little ritual. Every Friday, my uncle would go pick her up and they would go do like some grocery shopping or, get like dinner or whatever. And then once a month, I would pick her up and I would take her to go see you, and you would cut and style her hair. And she'd always feel so cute and so special. And then we would end up going out to like eat, like to lunch or something. The handful of the last pictures that I have of her were from the day that we went and saw you to get a haircut. And it was literally like a couple weeks later that she ended up passing away. And those are just something that like I have cherished forever. Even when I post on like my social media, like remembering her and stuff like that, it's always that picture, because the last year, like I could kind of tell she was declining. She would sleep a lot. She wouldn't call me like on holidays. And like my Nana was somebody that never forgot someone's birthday, anniversary, or holiday. So when I took her to get that haircut, she was having the best day. Like, it was such a good day. She was excited. She had got her hair done. I took that cute little picture, like, at your studio of her. We went out for lunch. And it was just like the last memories that I have of her having a really good day, like, involved seeing you for her haircut. And it was just like, it's
Oh,
just always something that's just super special for me. So I just want to tell you thank you. I know I'm
you're
getting
gonna
all
make me
emotional because I'm a
cry.
big baby,
Oh my
but
gosh.
it's just
I'm
like
crying
little things
too.
like that. And then I had a client that was like, I came in and saw you and I had a facial, and it was just really hard for me because I had been told that day that like my one of my family members had come down with like terminal cancer and they were going to be going into hospice the next day, and I really struggled with coming in to get that facial, especially because I had to drive to campus for me to do the facial for them. And she's like, but having that hour of just being able to sit there and not have to keep my mind spinning of all the stuff that I had just been told like that morning helped me be prepared. So I related a plan and we started looking at different treatment options. I just felt a little recharged for it. And like, she apologized a couple times. She's like, "Oh, my eyes watering." And I was like, "It's okay. Like, don't worry. You don't have to apologize for anything, and you're here. And like, thank you for telling me about your situation. However you're feeling right now, like, thank you for coming in and letting me pamper you right now, you know." And so later she's like, I was actually crying because I was just thinking like I felt guilty for getting the facial, but then I was glad that I was getting it because then I was talking to you like little bits through it and it was helping me process things. So even though you're not in the hair industry anymore, I still think about all the random moments, like you mentioned earlier, that you were there for. How many haircuts that I came and we talked about relationship drama, or Serena comes to you and we were getting her haircut because she was transitioning from being a dirty little middle schooler refusing to shower to like wanting to have a hairstyle and going into
Caring
high
about
school and
hygiene.
stuff. Oh yeah, yeah, literally. So even though you've stepped away, a lot of moments in my life still involve you and they're like great memories. And I know that I'm probably speaking for all of your clients. And I'm just really glad that you came on the podcast so you could talk about this.
Man, you are making me feel like $1 million today. Are you available tomorrow? Because
Right?
this is
Same
like
time.
nourishing my soul. And I'm so honored that one of your last memories with your Nana involved me, because I know that you're close with your Nana, like I was my great grandmother who passed away. And I mean, she was like my soulmate. Like when she passed, it was the hardest thing and the weirdest thing too. When she passed, um, we knew she was like on the way out, but I told my grandparents because she's my grandmother's mom, and I told them when it happens, I don't care what time it is, call me. And they were like, okay. And I don't remember what day of the week it was, but it was the middle of the night, like I don't know, 12:30, 1 a.m. And I woke up and I just started bawling. I knew it had happened. I just started crying. And I don't know, it was about a minute and a half after I woke up, my grandpa called me to let me know that my great grandma had passed away. And I mean, that was years ago, and it's still something that hurts, but I know she's in a better place, and I
Yeah.
know I'll get to be with her again one day. But when you think about those last moments with the person you love so much, and you think about the people who made them feel good and feel happy, like there's an appreciation there that you can't even express. So to know that you had that moment and I was involved, like I'm so grateful to you and thank you for sharing your Nana with me. She was so freaking cute and little and sassy and funny
Oh,
and
yeah.
flirty. And I mean,
Yeah.
you definitely, she lives on in you, and personality, her everything, her memory. So I want to thank you for letting me be a part of her life and that memory, because there's nothing like those moments, you know?
Yeah. I
So
agree.
thank you.
And we definitely get the privilege to share those things because also, being in the medical field, we had a lot of negative moments that I shared with people and they weren't always the greatest. And so
Hmm.
that's kind of also like my pivoting point. I was like, I'm getting older in life. I want to start sharing good moments with people. I don't want to just be there during like the hardest parts. I want to be able to see both. I want to see the highs and the lows because I know sometimes when people come in, like my one client whose dad is going through treatments, like you kind of get the whole gamut instead of just always feeling like you're getting the crap end of the shoot, so to speak. So,
Mhm. Yeah, there
yeah.
were tons of nights where after work you just drive home in silence because you just
Yeah.
need that to clear your head. Because I mean, no matter if you see 3 people, 10 people, every person has a story they want to share with you.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, you build these relationships. Like I said, they become like family. So you get people at their most vulnerable moments. And I mean, I had one lady who I did for years who had cancer and she was starting to lose her hair. And she came to me and she was young. She was maybe 2 years older than me. And she came to me and she's like, I'm going to shave it off. And I was like, okay. And she's like, I want you to do it. And I was like, okay. And so we went through it together. We cried together. Like it was the most bittersweet, empowering moment ever. And it's a moment I'll
Yeah.
never forget. And I mean, she's in remission now. She's doing great. She has kids. Like she's
Oh, that's
thriving.
so good.
Yeah, but to be there for that, and to have her trust me for a moment like that was so humbling. And I had another client who, you know, like they always say, don't judge a book by its cover because the surface can look really pretty good and shiny, but what's going on inside, like you don't know the day someone's
Right.
having. And I mean, she came to me and she just out of nowhere told me, like, you know, every time I drive home, I pass this telephone pole and I think about just driving my car into it and wrapping my car around it. And I was like, okay, well, we're not going to let that happen. So
Right.
let's get you on a good path. And, you know, I got her numbers for some self help and we talked about it. And she knew she could call me at any time. And um, to be able to have people that feel comfortable enough to open up to me like that, like that's just something I'm forever grateful for. And I really think that everyone has a purpose in life. And that's the thing I miss most about hair, I think, is that I am lacking those relationships and that help. So, like you
Right.
having me on this podcast today just is fueling my soul with so much. Like, you have no idea how much this is doing for me because I love being a stay at home mom and I'm so thankful for it. But it gets hard and it gets
Yeah.
lonely at times too. Because, I mean, my son can't be like, hey, yo, mom, the meatloaf, what's
Right.
up? You know, he's like, gotta, gotta.
Right. Right.
So it's a very, I don't want to say rewarding. It's a very humbling job to have that love and trust from someone who was a complete stranger that now looks at you like family and to help
Right.
them.
Right. I agree. And I'm excited to like continue to build those kinds of relationships and stuff. And I think when I do decide to transition out of the industry, because obviously, you know, I'm gonna retire at some point. I think it will be bittersweet, but I feel like my bucket will be a little more full, and I'll be able to look back and be like more glad. I think about like retirement and getting older now, and it's a very crazy, weird topic for me. But since we're talking about that, what were the couple of things that really led for you to choose to step away from hair? And I'm sure it was probably difficult, like at first. How did you get through that? Because there are a couple of people that I know that I just like look up to, and they're also thinking of doing that. And one of my other best friends, he's had to transition out of doing hair just because he's had some health issues. He's like, I just don't know what to do. Like, I mean, you kind of feel like you lose your purpose a little bit, especially if it's for like health reasons and you have to readjust your whole life. So, if you don't
Hmm.
mind sharing that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So I did not pick to get out of hair. It picked me. I
Right.
got pregnant with my son, and I was 2 weeks pregnant, and I was starting to get an allergy when I would do color. And even if I didn't do color, I would still have a reaction. Like I'd get a little rash on my hand. My upper lip sometimes would get really bright red on the inside and swollen, which I mean, made me look like I had lip filler if it decided to do the whole upper lip. But if it only did
Right.
half the lip, that was like a terrifying sight. It wasn't cute. My forehead would get itchy, my eyes would burn, my throat would get burning, scratchy. Like it just was not good. But I kept trying to do it because I'm like, it's just got to be from pregnancy. But when I was 2 weeks pregnant, I got COVID for the second time. And so I don't know if the allergy has to do with pregnancy and hormones, if it had to do from getting sick. I honestly have no clue, but it just got to the point where it was too dangerous, like with my health and being pregnant.
Right.
So this past February has been a year that I haven't been doing hair, and it's had its ups and downs. It's it's nice because I get to be completely available for my children, which I love. But at times it's also hard because everyone needs a break, and being a
Right.
stay-at-home mom, like you don't get that. And
Right.
like you said, meet me at the back bar. Let's go talk about this, blah blah blah. I'm like, hey, meet me at the sink while I do some dishes. Who wants to come
Right.
over? So to go from a career that I'm touching and talking to people all day long to just that being done, it
Yeah.
has been a struggle. And then you feel this guilt because, like, I love this life. I want this life. I signed up for this life, and there's nothing else I want to do right now. Um, but that doesn't mean that it's just supposed to be rainbows and butterflies all the time. Like, it's
Right.
hard, it gets lonely, it gets repetitive. Sometimes you just feel like a
A
robotic
robot.
nanny.
Yeah.
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 And luckily, I have an amazing husband who helps me in my moments where I'm like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing."
Right.
Um, but I I did not pick to walk away. I mean, I knew I had been thinking about like retiring one day because standing on your feet for 12 hours straight,
Mm-hmm.
working back to back, not having time to pee or eat or anything like
Right.
that, it gets exhausting. And like some people are more mentally draining than others because you have like majority of your clients who are amazing and wonderful, but then you have those select few that are kind of like energy vampires,
Oh yeah.
and they exhaust you. And I mean that in the nicest way possible, but it's just, it is what it is. It's the truth. And those people also tend to be the people who want a lot for a little. And instead of
Yeah.
valuing you and your talent and your knowledge and your education, they just want to take from you. And so that was kind of started. It takes one bad apple, to kind of ruin it for
Right.
everybody. And that started to kind of catch up with me. And I don't know if I had done it for so long that it was just starting to irk me more. But that started to become a struggle for me. And so I knew I was like thinking about getting out of it. And if I did, what else could I do? But then I think God was like, hey, yo, girl, check this out. You can't do
Mm-hmm.
it. And I was like,
Right.
okay, I got to figure this out. So, yeah, I didn't choose it. It chose me.
Well, I am definitely glad that you had free time to come on the podcast because I know when you were doing hair, you had no time to do anything. I would probably have to
I
be like, hey,
know.
can I come in for a color? And we're also going to record because I want to talk to you on my podcast.
I totally would have
And I'm
let you.
sure Lily and Leo are just loving having you be present all the time. Because
Yeah, it's so nice.
it's something too that I noticed like when I wasn't working and I was in school, I was able to do more stuff around the house and like be more present for certain things, like especially with like Serena or Emmett. But at the same time, I was just like, I felt guilty for not like bringing in an income and not being able to contribute to certain things. And, my husband would be like, it's fine. You've got how many more weeks? How many more hours do you need? Like, it'll be fine. Once that's done, then you can focus on your career. Just focus on doing what you need to do at home and doing what you need to do to be successful in class.
Mhm.
So it's definitely hard when you transition out of being someone who's like, bringing in money and you're in control of a schedule and you've got people and you've got, I am a task girl. So if I wake up and I'm like, okay, I've got these people I'm going to see today and I've got to do these tasks in between and this, and this, that fills my cup for the day. So on days when I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm going to school and I'm going to come home and cook dinner, like what? And we got to do homework and then we've got what else we've got to do this weekend. Like
I know, it's
I
so
felt
true.
bad. Like you said, you kind of feel guilty at certain times when you're having those low points. But I think every time I see you posting stuff on social media and Facebook, I'm like, she's just glowing. Like, you just look so happy. And I know a lot of the times we don't
Oh,
always share like the ugly sides of our lives on stuff, but just like even just talking to you today, I can just tell you're very happy with like where you're at. And I'm so happy for you because I know our lives up until this point, we've gone through some crazy, gnarly shit when we were younger. So I just want to say you deserve all the happiness and all the
oh, thank
blessings.
you. I definitely think that life will, I mean, we all know life will continue to throw curveballs, But like I said, it's what you choose to make of it, you know? Like you can sit here and be bitter, nasty, mad about things, or you can choose to just try and be ahead of them, like learn from them, grow, and make the best of it because life really is just too short. So, I
Yeah.
mean, don't get me wrong, I definitely have my days where I'm just like, I want to be mad. But
Yeah.
it's few and far between because I do try to make the best of things. And like I said, I am so blessed to have such an amazing husband who, even if I want to be mad, for no good reason or something stupid, like he makes me laugh and happy. And I tell him, just let me be mad. I
Yeah.
can't be mad. Just let
I
me be
need this
mad.
moment. Just let me be mad.
Yeah. And then I just start cracking up with him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've never had this. I just want to be mad for a second.
Yeah.
And then I think about it and I'm like, how stupid. Like, why would anybody want to be mad? But
Right.
it is definitely an adjustment. I've had a job since I was 13, not always hair, but I did start doing hair in high school with my friends and illegally technically, but whatever, tomato
Right.
tomato. Uh, but I mean, I've always made an income for myself and provided for my family, and so now to be in this position where I feel like I'm not doing anything, but I'm in turn doing
Doing
everything,
everything. Yeah.
it's really like a token of love that I have to learn to be okay with and to know that like I am doing enough because that is my struggle. Like to not contribute financially, I feel like, oh, I'm just being lazy or I'm not working hard enough. And I know that's not the case at all because like I
Right.
keep the house running. I My husband helps cook too. He's a better cook than me. But I mean, cleaning, laundry, nonstop with a 10-month
Yeah.
old and a little girl who plays soccer. And I mean, even the weeks that my daughter's at her dad's, like the laundry doesn't stop. Everything just keeps
Oh
going,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Running the household is a job in and of itself. And a lot of people, I think now in the last few years, people are really seeing the value of like staying at home and being able to do those things, and like COVID putting a lot of people at home that never thought they would like working from home and doing that kind of stuff. So definitely I try to take everything with a grain of salt too and make the best of each situation. And I think that's probably why we like connected so well. And we've just always kind of stayed present and rooting for each other from the sidelines on, throughout life and stuff. But yeah, you've got to make the best of what you have at the time when you have it. I mean, maybe in 5 years from now, like I said, you've got a color academy that you're running and teaching people from, and like you never know what the future could bring.
And then next door can be your aesthetic place.
Oh
And it's
yeah,
just like a one
yeah,
stop shop for all. Just go down all the
exactly,
doors.
exactly. And Serena and Lily can be running the coffee shop on the other side. Like it'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we have it all planned. I love this for us.
Exactly. Me too.
I think it's a great idea.
I think it is a great idea and we should manifest it. And
Done.
with that being said, I know little Prince Leo's probably going to be waking up soon. So I do want to just wrap it up and say thank you so much for taking time to come on the podcast and share some of your knowledge and about your career. And I definitely think you're going to have to come back next month and we'll have to talk about some tips and tricks that you have for people
Yeah, I would love
and
to. And
give
with
some
any of your
expert advice.
friends, yeah, and any of your friends who are in beauty school, if they ever have any questions, I mean, I definitely don't know everything, but I love sharing my knowledge and whether they have questions of bleach or toners or highlights, like I did a lot of blondes. I had a whole blonde tirage and I'm not even a blonde, but I I just love color. So if there's anyone I can help or whatever, you send them my way.
I will definitely, because Danny is amazing at color, especially fun fashion colors and like upkeeping them.
Thanks,
Yes.
girl.
Well, I appreciate you, and we'll have to get coffee soon or meet at the splash pad instead of the back bar.
Yeah, or I need to get a
And
facial.
yes, yes, come let me pamper your skin.
Yes, I would love that.
But, anyways, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I will talk with you soon. And, guys, girls, if any of you need help with color and you're, one of my friends at Empire or TCOB, let me know and I will connect you with my girl because she's a genius and a goddess when it comes to color. I'm just going to tell you.
You are so nice. I'm ready to meet you all at the back bar.
Yes. Thank you so much, Danny, and I will
Thanks
talk to
for
you
having
soon. Bye,
me.
guys.
Bye.